Hello, hello. Welcome everyone to today's live stream. This is Ned from Caspio. Welcome once again to many of you. Good to see all of you here. Before I begin, I always have a quick housekeeping item. I want to make sure my audio is working correctly. So if you can let me know right away, we can go ahead and begin today's Caspio Labs session. Hopefully everyone's having a good Monday. Welcome back. Hope you had a good weekend. Mine wasn't that exciting. I went hiking on Sunday, had a little picnic with the wife, and now we're back on Monday doing the Caspio Labs. Hey Dexter, thanks for the confirmation. Hey Brian, welcome. Welcome back. Good to see you. Katie, good to see you as well. All right, I think we can go ahead and begin. Let me go ahead and just set the right expectation before I begin today's live stream. Today's session is going to be slightly advanced. Hey Ali. It's going to be slightly advanced. We're going to be looking at some JavaScript. We're going to be looking at some HTML, which allows us to create a much more seamless and much more user-friendly experience for the end user when they're looking at the application. You can still create this using standard methods, okay, which I'll point out to later on today's class, but today it's going to be slightly more advanced. I have simplified the solution for you to the point where all you need to do is just copy and paste some code into your data page, so you don't have to worry about dissecting the code in any way. You're just going to have to copy and paste, add it to your data page, and you're going to have this nice end user experience. So when they click on the button, it opens up a form, and then you have your submission form embedded inside this pop-up window. And then upon submission, you're going to be able to see that entry inside the results page. Now, the standard method to do that is to have two separate web pages. You have one web page that has all the results, and then you have a second web page that has the submission form. It's still functional. It works. There's nothing wrong with that. Today, we're going to combine both of them together inside a pop-up window, which makes, again, as I said at the beginning, for a much more user-friendly experience. And you can also reuse that button in many other data pages. So even if I go to my details page, I can create my edit form to update the customer info. Down here, we have logs and we have deals. I can create another button to add another log and also be able to add a deal. Now, my tutorial, which I said I've simplified here in the Word document, I will make this available in the description of the YouTube video immediately after today's session. Okay, so it won't be at the end of the day. It'll be right after. Maybe give me about 10 or 15 minutes and you'll see this in the description. And I don't want you guys to feel intimidated when you see the tutorial. It's actually very simple. A lot of what you see here are my notes, letting you know what you need to do with the code above. And just so that you can see that it works correctly, I will follow my exact tutorial in today's live stream so that you can see how we implement that. Very, very easy. It'll take you about 5 minutes to do that, maybe even less, depending on your speed. But let's go ahead and see how we can do this in today's example that I've prepared. So, in my account, I have a very simple application. I have two data pages. And I have my submission form by itself, and I have my report. If I hit preview, okay, there's my report. And if I preview the form, there's my submission form. So let's see how we can do that. The first thing you need to do is copy the library that you see here for Bootstrap. So you copy these 3 lines. Okay, copy that, and you need to add that into the header of your report data page, results page. Very simple. So let's go over here, edit the report, and navigate to the results page. So here's the results page. We're going to add a header and footer. And inside the header section, just go into the advanced tab, disable the toolbar, come back to the standard tab, and paste that code. Now, one important note that I want to make sure people understand here, which I put down here in red. If you're embedding this into a Bootstrap template, a lot of Bootstrap templates already come with these libraries. And if that's the case, you don't really have to paste this into the header of your data page. It'll work. Even if you just paste that data page into your web page, it'll still work without you having to paste these libraries inside the header of your data page. Okay? If you're embedding this into Weebly, Webflow, GoDaddy, then yes, you will need to paste this in the header of your data page. Okay? So just play around with that, and see if it doesn't work, then likely you need to add that. If it works. You can still add it. It's not going to conflict with the Bootstrap library, so it doesn't hurt you to add this anyway, but just letting you know that you don't have to add that if your Bootstrap template already has that. Okay, so the next step is to add the button. Okay, so let's copy that. Go back to my account and paste that underneath. Like that. And this code here is going to create that button. You can rename that button to whatever you want. In this case, it works perfectly for me because I want to add a contact to my results page. All right. You can also rename the heading here in between these two single quotes to something else. And one more thing that we need to do here is replace the app key. Okay, so you'll see here in my tutorial, the text in red will need to be replaced with the app key for your submission form. So let's take a look. I'm going to open up my data pages in a new tab. Here's my submission form. Click on properties, and here's the app key to the submission form. You want to ignore the first 8 digits and just copy the ones after the 8. Okay, so copy that. Okay, very simple. Go back to the other data page and replace the app key here with the one that we just copied. And paste. All right, the final step. Like I said, I simplified this for you guys so that you don't have to worry too much about, dissecting the code. I will explain what the code does. I'm not going to go one line by line and explaining what it does. Just note that this HTML that you see here is the pop-up window. And all the script is doing, the script that you see here on the right-hand side, is taking that submission form and it's embedding it into this pop-up window. That's all the script is doing. So what you're going to do is copy all of this code, including this script. Copy that, go into the footer of your data page, Advanced tab, disable, paste all that code in the footer, and then the final step is to replace both the account ID and the app key prefix. All right, to get the prefix, come back here and grab the first 8 characters. That's the prefix. Come back here and paste that here on the prefix. Like that. Let me just make sure it's in the same row. And your account ID. And the account ID, hopefully you guys know how to find the account ID. It's under account settings. And the account ID is this one here. So let's copy that. Paste that here. Like that. And now it should work. So let's try it out. Let's hit finish. Let's deploy our report. Grab the URL, copy it, paste that up here. And we should be able to see that button here at the very top. You can add some padding around the button if you wanted to space that out a little bit more. But if I click on that button now, it opens up that submission form, which is the other data page. One final step that's needed here is upon submission, you want to close that window. So what I recommend that you do is grab the URL to your report, this one here. Go back to the submission form data page, which is the add contact. And in the destination page, all you need to do here is just go to a new page, paste that URL, and then you're done. Click finish. Let's try it out. Reload. Hit add contact, and let's try to submit this. So we'll say Bob Smith, title CEO, and let's just hit submit. All right, there's Bob Smith. Add it to the very top of the results page. Okay, very, very simple tutorial. It's so easy. Like I said, I've simplified everything for you guys. So all you need to do is just copy and paste into your data pages. And just so that you can see that this works, even if you embed it into a web page, I will go ahead and embed the same report inside my Weebly account that I have. So let me go ahead and use the embed code. Hit deploy. Grab the embed code here in Weebly. Let's drag over in the embed code widget. Paste it, publish, and let's see what it looks like. All right, now again, you can move that button. You can left align, you can center it, you can right align. It's just a little bit of HTML and CSS that you need to know. And now when you click on that button, it opens up the form. And again, if I make a submission, I will be able to see that. Oh, one thing that I need to do. In the destination window now, I need to grab this URL because I now embedded into Weebly. So I need to get that URL, edit my form, and replace my direct URL link inside the destination page. So here, just paste this one instead. And let me make sure this is working the way it's supposed to. I will just refresh, add one more contact, hit submit, and there we have it. Okay, so this is going to drastically improve the end user experience in your applications. I use this tutorial quite often in my applications. That's why here in my CRM example, I have these buttons everywhere. So when I click on the button, it opens up the form for every single one of my data pages. I don't have to navigate to a completely different web page to do that. Okay. If you guys end up having any issues implementing this into your applications, just let us know in the chat window of the YouTube video. Okay, and we'll provide some comments and answers and feedback to hopefully troubleshoot that. But it should be very straightforward and easy if you follow my tutorial that I will provide for you guys in the description. Now, let me know if you have any questions. If you guys like these types of tech tips, let me know in the chat window. I can give you guys a lot more of these types to improve the usability of your apps. And we can, even in our future sessions, we can go ahead and have more of these types of solutions. Again, today's session was slightly more advanced. Okay, so if you're expecting to see no code, I really wanted to showcase the power of Caspio, how by using these industry standard languages, you can create much more dynamic workflows in your applications. Can you do this using standard features? Absolutely. Absolutely. But you can, as you can see how much more seamless everything looks when you use a little bit of script to open up these windows and simplify the process of navigating the application. Good, glad to hear. Katie, I know you were looking forward to this, so hopefully this is going to solve a lot of your questions and improve your applications. I do have one answer for somebody from the previous live stream. If you guys remember, we did the scheduled import and export. Somebody was hoping to see how we can export just the new data or today's data instead of the entire table. So I would like to get into that next. It's just going to take me a few minutes to answer that question. I don't know who the question came from, but the question essentially was, inside Caspio, when you set up a scheduled export, let's say you're exporting data and you create a new site, and I want to create an email list, export incidents, and then you provide the email address. I'll just use my work email. And then let's just say you wanted to export an Excel file. Okay. Now the question was, as I said just a moment ago, I only want to export either today's data or new data and not the entire table every single time I do this scheduled export. And there's actually a very simple solution to that. Let me open up my application. Let's just take a look at this one here. Now, inside a table, you can have a timestamp, right? That stamps the date and time every time you make an entry. What you can do is you can create a view. Okay. You can build a view that filters out today's entries. Okay. So let's just say incidents from the incidents table. And I want to filter that. Let me see if I have a date. Hopefully I have a date field. I'm pretty sure I do. Date reported. And you can go ahead and just say maybe, where is it, equal today. So the view is only going to now show you today's incidents. Now, when you're exporting data, say in the Excel format, file name, export incidents, and you hit next, you can export the view of incidents that filters out today's entries. And now every time you run that task, if it's daily, if it's weekly, it's just going to export today's data from the view and not the table itself. Okay. You can do the same thing. Let's say you have a status field in the table for new, pending, or completed. Use the view to filter out anything that's new, and then just export the view and not the table. That way you can ensure that you're always exporting new data, not updated and not completed, just new. Okay. Next time you update that status from new to pending, that item will no longer be exported inside the view. So that's one way you can control what gets exported and what gets attached in the email every time it goes out, if you're running that task daily or monthly or weekly, depending on how often you run it, right? So if I have I'll just select any random view here. Maybe, well, I've included all 4 of them, which is fine. It doesn't matter. Just wanted to show you on the next screen, you can set the frequency here, how often you want those views to be exported. Okay, so if you're just looking at today's data, you can run this task daily. And now the view is going to be sent as the attachment. Open up that view and you're going to be able to see just today's entry, not the entire table, just from whatever is filtered inside that view. Okay. I don't know how I didn't think of this last time, which is pretty funny because I've done this so often. Sometimes when you get these questions in real time, right there on the spot, you're trying to think all the different possible ways of doing that. But as you can see, it's as simple as that. But I don't like to spend too much time thinking about the solution in the live session because, you know, it can go sideways very quickly. So I usually like to give myself a little bit of time to think about that offline before I come back and give you guys the right way of doing it. Let me take a look at my question here. Hi, Ned. Do you plan to share the CRM sales app in the future? I see you use the SB admin template. It would be great to see how you embed the data pages in Bootstrap. Yeah, so usually when I download the Bootstrap template, in case of this one here, I download my Bootstrap template and I use, since I'm savvy with HTML and CSS, I use Notepad++ to edit my HTML files offline. And then I will use my FTP client to move my HTML files to the server and whatever my hosting company is to publish these web pages live, right? So let's say you find a particular template that you like. Say we go to google.com and we look for a Bootstrap template, free admin. Usually I look for free admin Bootstrap templates. Okay, so let's find a free one, yeah? So how about this? Let's say you like this one. Let's open it. There's a free download. I don't want to have to create an account. Let me find a different one. Hopefully this won't take too long. I just need to find one where I can download for free. Hopefully this one is okay. Let's try it. Download free version. I can sign up quickly. I don't want to do that. I know a lot of these used to be. Let's go down a little bit. Let's try this one. If this doesn't work, I'll find one that does work so that you can see. Because you got to do a little bit of cleaning. When you download the Bootstrap template, you can see it comes with all this content already inside the template. Then you have to know how to navigate. Well, I use Notepad++, where you can remove this content from within these widgets, and then you replace them with the Caspio data page. No, not GitHub. Okay, 1 second. Let me go to free admin Bootstrap. Come on, really? I'll find one. I promise I'll find one so you guys can see exactly what I do. Let's try this one. Free download. Yes, there we go. Okay, so I download. It always comes zipped. Let's download that. Okay, let's open it, and I will just move that to my desktop. That's a lot of files. But if you guys want me to share the Bootstrap template for the CRM, how many people would like to see that Bootstrap template, would like to explore that Bootstrap template that I use for my CRM? I can make that available as a download inside the description of the video as well. The exact one that I use. If you guys would like to use that one as well, I can definitely make that available as a download inside the description of the video. Yeah, okay. So we'll do that. But the process is very simple. When you find a template that you like, you download it. It comes with all the files that you need, including the login page if you want to use the login page. But this is the most important one, which is the index page. All right, and here is that Bootstrap template. Okay, I've used this one in the past as well. You can see it comes with a lot of cool components where you can. Actually, you know what? This is the same template that I'm using in my CRM application. Oh, that's funny. I didn't realize I downloaded the same template. Yeah, I'm using this exact template. So this is what the original download came with. You can see these drop downs. There's a search form that's here at the very top. I replaced that search form with the Caspio data page. So under customers, you can see here's a Caspio data page up here that's filtering the results page. But then from here, when you download the template, let's say you wanted to modify that index page. So where is the index page? There it is. Okay. Now you have to know what you're doing. So I right click and open up that in Notepad++. Let me move that here to the left. Right. So there's my index page. I have to go through the HTML document and remove some of this content that I don't need. And eventually, if I want to replace this text with a Caspio data page, I will remove that and I will paste the Caspio code if I copied my embed code. Once you paste the Caspio code, let me actually show you that you can see it even offline before you publish that on the web. So let me go to my account really quickly here. And let's go to data pages. Let's go to our contact management app that we used today. And let's go to data pages. And let's go ahead and deploy that. Grab the embed code, copy it. And let's say we want to put that maybe instead of this chart earnings overview. I'm going to replace the chart with that data page that I just grabbed the embed code for. So here, you can do Control F to find whatever you want inside this web page. What was the name of that? Earnings something? Earnings overview. So let's look for earnings overview. Earnings overview. Find it. Okay. And let's remove the chart. So the chart is going to be, let's have a look. That's the drop down. Div drop down. Okay. So here is the chart area. I am going to remove this div. Okay, I may actually have to, let's just try it with the canvas first. Keep the chart area class here. Let's paste the embed code and let's refresh the page now to see what that did. All right, so there's the results page. Now you have to remove these additional ones, or you can change the width of the results page so it fits inside this widget. Okay, or you can make this widget longer, so you can stretch this out all the way across. So it's just a little bit of fine tuning until you, have the desired look and feel if you'd like. So for example, here what I would do, let me just see what it looks like if I make this a little bit wider. So let's change this to 12, change that to 12. Okay, save that, refresh. And now you can see it stretches out all the way across. And I think that's what I would end up doing. Maybe, I don't know. I may actually remove some of these columns from my results page so that I can have a little more narrow view of my results page. Because dashboard view is usually consists of just summary of your data. You don't need to include all of the columns, right? And now if you're happy with it offline, now you can use an FTP to push that web page live to make it available for your end user. Okay? All right. So let's go ahead and take on questions. I wanted to give you just a little bit more in terms of how I go about building these web pages and websites. I always like to download these templates. I modify the template to the point where I know what data pages I'm going to be embedding. That's why in this sales CRM demo that I have, you can see I modified my navigation menu here on the left-hand side. We have a customer page where I can view the list of all of my customers. I can add a new customer. We learned how to do that today. We can go to details where we send the ID to the details page, and all of the data pages that you see here on the details page are receiving that ID. And that's how we're able to filter out John's contact information, John's logs, John's deals, and the chart that's filtering information for John. Okay. And as you can see how much more simpler it is to use that pop-up window for all of your reports and all of your data pages, and it just makes the user experience so much more interesting to the end user, much more seamless. Okay, so I will make all of these available in the description of the video today. The first one that I will make available is the pop-up modal for the Bootstrap, so you guys can start using that right away. And the second one, give me a little bit more time for the second one. I need to clean it up and make the template available for you guys to download. Okay. How do you get the templates you find online over to Caspio? Good question. So you don't actually get them over to Caspio. You download the template, and now the template is on your computer, right? So when you download each template, it's going to be inside a folder, okay? And when you open up that folder, you're going to be able to see the web pages that the folder comes with. Okay, so these are the folders. These are the web pages that this template comes with. You have access to your CSS file that you can edit. Now, if you guys want to embed your Caspio data pages inside these web pages, you have to download, well, you don't have to download Notepad++. I use Notepad++ to edit my HTML files, my HTML web pages that you see here on the left-hand side. All I do is right-click and edit in Notepad++. Okay, so you can download Notepad++ very quickly and easily. So if you just go to download Notepad++, okay, and you can download that for your Mac or Windows, depending on what operating system you have. Once you download that file, then offline, like I said, you're going to be able to right-click on each one of these and open that up in Notepad++. And now you can modify that web page. Once you embed your Caspio data page inside your template, then you need to use a tool like I use WinSCP. Let me go ahead and log in. Hopefully I remember my password here. Okay, perfect. So I've shown you guys how to use this in a previous live stream. You don't have to use WinSCP. There's so many other FTP clients that you can use. I also have FileZilla on my computer, which does the same exact thing. So if you go with GoDaddy or 1&1 or a different website provider, okay, you're going to purchase your domain name, right? But these providers give you the ability to upload your local files to their server, okay? So when you connect, they're going to give you all of this information, by the way. So when you go to Site Manager here, all the information that you see here is provided by GoDaddy or 1&1. You put all of that information in here, and then you can connect. And now you're going to be able to see all of your files with GoDaddy or 1&1. And then all you're doing is moving your files, which are your locally stored on your computer, and you're moving those files over to the right to publish those files with your hosting company. So if you're using GoDaddy, you can just push these files quickly to the right, and now your domain is going to have those web pages. Okay, I know hopefully I'm not overwhelming you with this information, but I promise you, it's actually very, very simple. Hosting companies like GoDaddy and 1&1 will provide this information for you, and then you're going to be able to see those files here. These are your locally stored files, including the one over here. You see this one's called Start Bootstrap. So if I go to my desktop, you're going to see Start Bootstrap, which is the same exact folder. Here are all of my web files. And now if I wanted to move my home page, which is my index page, to GoDaddy, I will just drag and drop to the right. And now that home page, whatever updates you make offline, once you move that file back to GoDaddy or 1&1, it'll immediately reflect on the web as well. Once you make those changes offline, you move the file online, and then you're going to be able to see your new logo, your new navigation menu, depending on what you've made, what changes you've made offline. Okay? This is basically how I go about building my templates in my websites, and most web developers do that. Okay, I will say that 99.9% of web developers use some kind of an FTP client. You can use FileZilla, you can use WinSCP. Okay, they both do the same exact thing. Okay, and most of these clients that you download, you'll see the files on your local computer, and then you'll see the files on your hosting company, and then all you're doing is just modifying the web pages offline, and you're moving them online. So your end users can see the changes that you made. Online files, offline files. Okay, and then once you modify your changes using a tool like Notepad++, let's say you were to change this SB admin title to Caspio demo. I do Control S to save, or you can just hit the save button here to save that file. Now I made this change offline. I'm going to move that web page online for those changes to take place. It's not enough for it to be offline. Nobody's going to be able to see that change. I still have to move that file online. Okay. So if you're picking your domain name for your website and you would like to try this, check with your hosting company if it's one-in-one, if it's GoDaddy, if it's WordPress, if they have the ability for you to host your own files. A website like Weebly, they don't have that ability. Or at least last time I checked, they didn't have the ability for you to host your own files. They have a very simple website builder. You have to build all of these web pages with their platform. Okay? But the drawback to that is that you don't have as much flexibility of modifying objects and how they're laid out, because everything is positioned within their container, so you can't really move things too much. That's the drawback. The benefit is that you can build a website very quickly, right? So I can build all of my pages directly inside their tool. So if I wanted a new navigation menu, I will add a new page, standard page. Let's call this page index, which could be the home page. And now you have 2 pages. Now, if you're a front-end developer, if you know what you're doing, then you can just go to your folder. Let's say you wanted to create a new page. You have an index page. Where is it? Let's say I copy that and I hit Control V to paste. Now I created a duplicate of that same exact page. Let's call this page login. Oh, I already have that name, so let's try a different name. Rename test. So this page is called test, right? And I can make this web page part of my main navigation menu if I wanted to. So really, it's the same exact thing as here, right? These are my web pages. These are my web pages. Offline, but I still have to move them online in order for my end users to access these pages. Yeah, I'm going a little bit more than I was expecting in today's live stream. So for those who would like to try building their own web pages, it's not overly difficult. You just have to find a template that you like. A lot of them are free. Some of them you'll have to pay for if you like that specific template. And then we use things like Notepad++ to modify our web pages and push those web pages to our hosting provider so that we can see the changes that we're making. But the fun part is that you can still embed the Caspio data page offline, and you're still going to be able to see the results. You just won't be able to interact with the data page. You won't be able to edit data. You won't be able to submit something because the web page, the data page is not live yet. Okay, but at least it still allows you to see some of your data, and you can still organize your data pages the way you want before you even push them live. Okay. My education, I'm actually self-taught in front-end design. So I taught myself, when I joined Caspio, believe it or not, I didn't have any experience with the front-end design. I had a great mentor here at Caspio who I bugged daily. Every time I wanted to build something in Caspio, I always went to this person, and he, at some point, you know, I can tell he was getting a little frustrated, so he gave me a couple of resources to learn from. And then I just took it upon myself. But I really found great interest in wanting to learn the front-end design, which I thought was really fun to modify the colors, the aesthetics, and all that good stuff. But yeah, self-taught in front-end design. Don't have a lot of experience in back-end design. So I'm not a full-stack developer, just mostly front-end. And then I learned how to use Caspio over time. And now when you combine the two together, you get best of both worlds because I can have full flexibility of placing my data pages any way that I want and modifying them using some simple CSS and HTML so that the applications at the end of the day will look nice. But I spent a lot of time using W3 schools, right? So I have spent a lot of time learning HTML, CSS, then JavaScript. Then I dabbled into jQuery as well. I learned some SQL on how we can, and we had a session on this before, how we can take some SQL, inject that into our data pages to pull data from the tables or views. But yeah, that's it. But he was the one who showed me how to use an FTP client, how to connect to a hosting company here, which is very simple. Again, you go to Site Manager, GoDaddy or 1&1 will provide you with that information that you need to connect. And then once you connect, you're going to see a list of all of your files that are inside GoDaddy or 1&1. All right, let me take a look at Fernanda Gomez. Do you have any tutorials on API, specifically how to make API calls from the server side? Can this be done through Caspio? Yes, it can be done through Caspio. I don't have any tutorials per se, but let me think for a second. I created a video not long ago. Let's take a look here. Let's go to YouTube. Let me move this to the right. And let's look for Caspio API. So it's not going to give you what you're looking for, but at least in the video, it's less than 5 minutes, how to generate an API token to make the calls. I know this comes up quite a bit. Maybe if time permits, I can do something around APIs because it comes up quite a bit. Maybe we can do a session down the line on how to connect. I don't know. I know with Zapier, it's easier to make these API calls because you don't have to worry about coding the API. Zapier makes it easy just to connect back and forth between different providers. So Fernanda, if you haven't seen the live stream on Zapier, so Caspio Zapier, you can use Zapier for a lot of integrations because Zapier works with over 3,000 providers out there. So if Zapier has that available, you can quickly connect to Caspio without you having to write the API. But let me share this link with you. In this live stream, I showed people how to connect Caspio to Slack using Zapier, how to connect to Facebook, and also a Zapier built-in translation widget. So when you submit a form in Caspio, Zapier has a translate to Spanish. So what it does is you submit the form, data goes to Zapier in English, translates it into Spanish, and submits it back into a Caspio table. Yeah, you're right. Not all applications can integrate with Zapier. Okay, you're correct. So that's why if you have a specific one and they have a trial period, maybe I can spend a little bit of time investigating to see if we can do a session on that because it comes up quite a bit. We try not to get into coding, which is a little ironic considering today's class. When I say coding, I mean API coding, not the easy front-end design stuff with JS and HTML and CSS. But if it's something simple, maybe we can do a session on this later on. Okay. API will be more advanced, but game change. I like game changers. Okay, so okay. All right. We'll do a session on this. I don't know when. It might be a month from now, 2 months from now, but just stay tuned. If you guys don't follow me on LinkedIn, or if you just tune in on here on our YouTube channel, Caspio Inc., you're going to be able to always see the new title or our new sessions that are coming up. And yeah, I promise we'll do a session on API down the line. Okay. You're very welcome. Let me see if I missed any of the other questions. Let's go back. So do you do this in a way over WordPress or any other plan all the time? So you do it in this way over WordPress. Yes, I do it this way over WordPress. I have used WordPress before. Okay, I have. But once you gain the knowledge of modifying these files offline using Notepad++, and you know what you're doing, you know what you're modifying, then that's another game changer, if you will. Okay, because you'll see how much better your applications can look with a little bit of front-end design knowledge. Okay, sounds good. Glad to hear that you can teach yourself. It takes a little bit of time. No pain, no gain. Trust me, I've had times where I wanted to pull my hair, even over front-end design, because you're missing a comma, or you're missing a semicolon or a single quote, and everything falls apart. But once you know where to look, then it's much easier. And that comes with practice. Okay. Self-taught. Okay, good to know. I do my best. I try my best to explain this in an easiest possible way for you guys to be able to digest it. I'm happy that you guys can learn from me, and hopefully I can learn from you as well. If you guys find something that's cool, you discover something on your own, send me an email, let me know, and then we can teach it to everybody else. Let's see, you should put us on a MailChimp list and have Net's tips of the week so we can follow you. You know, I've never been a huge Twitter fan, but I just created a Twitter account. You can find me Ned_my last name. I was planning on just posting quick tips here and there, and also promoting the live stream. I'm also promoting the live stream on the LinkedIn page, on my LinkedIn profile. So feel free to follow me. I'll follow you back. And then you can, yeah, I was planning on definitely syndicating a lot of these tutorials across many social media channels, Twitter and LinkedIn in particular. And I was hoping to, yeah, share my knowledge and a lot of these downloads that I find with you guys. So if you guys do want to follow me, feel free to do that. And then, yeah, we can all exchange knowledge and share together. Oh, that's funny. My wife wonders who Ned is at 2 a.m. You know, I follow a lot of people on LinkedIn, on YouTube as well. A lot of other live streams that are personal to me. And my wife wonders the same thing. It's like, why are you always watching these same people over and over? You know, what are they teaching you? And like, well, it's a lot of different, variety of different topics, you know? So my wife was, she was being funny one time. She said that for my birthday, she was going to contact one of these people and see if there was some way of them hosting me on their podcast or their live stream, and surprising me in the beginning, saying, "Hey, happy birthday to Ned. He's one of our regulars. He watches the channel quite a bit." It didn't work out. She was just being funny about that, but you know, yeah. She was even funny one time. She said that if only you paid that much attention to me as you do to this person, that you follow on YouTube, you know, we would have a happy wife, happy life moment, you know. Good thing I have a hilarious wife who likes to crack these jokes once in a while. It's pretty funny. All right. I really was expecting today's live stream to only last about 10-15 minutes because it was such a short topic. But we'll be back next week for more content. Since you guys like these types of tech tips and advanced topics, I'll make it a habit to include more of these types. Maybe we can even do one session on how I use the FTP and how I modify my offline HTML files and how I push them to my hosting provider, so that you can see exactly how I go about download from point A from start to finish, how I download the template, modify my HTML file, and then embed maybe 2 data pages and make them available online. Okay? All right. Good to know. I think what we're going to do is close today's session. Thank you for the laughs. Always good to have some humor added to these sessions so they're not too stale and boring. And major respect and love for the person who is here at 2 a.m. watching these live streams. So thank you so much. I know you can watch them the next day when you wake up because it is recorded, but I appreciate you coming in at 2 a.m. and watching these live streams. Really do. Love the low-code addition to this week. Topic on another time. For another time, using JS logic to enhance experience behavior like date restrictions or validation of phone number formats. So the validation of the phone number format is already available. Give me a second. I'll show you where to go. So if you go to forums, js.caspio.com. And if you go to JS Solutions, here we have a format phone number. And it's as simple as copy and paste. You copy the script, you paste this in the footer of your data page, of your submission form, and then you just have to modify the label. So if your field is called phone, just remove the 1. Okay, and now it's going to be completely formatted. So as you're entering the phone number, it's automatically creating the parentheses for you and adding the hyphen in between the first 3 digits and the last 4. It does that for you automatically. So now every time people fill out the form, the phone number is going to be uniform inside a table. Okay, you're not going to have somebody inputting zero syntax, like no parentheses, no periods. It's all going to be nicely formatted each submission. Let me see the former, what you said in that feedback, FB serve. Love the local topic for another, using JS logic to enhance experience behavior like date restriction. Okay, so the date restriction. Okay. That, I'm just pasting that in my notepad here on the left-hand side so that I can have some ideas for the next topic. Seems that way as I have done it recently with the developers program that Caspio offers. Intended plug for the business development team and Ramil. Okay, good, good. All right. I think I have taken a lot of your time today. So thank you guys so much again for attending. What I'll do here is I'll keep the chat open if you guys have any more questions. I'm going to close the video. We'll run the chat for another minute or 2 if anything comes in. If not, thank you guys so much. Have a good week. Stay safe out there. And yeah, I'll see you next Monday. The new topic will be available by Wednesday of this week. So if you want to tune into our YouTube channel, you will be able to see the new topic for the following Monday. All right. Thank you again so much. I appreciate the attendance, and we'll see you soon. All right. Take care. Bye-bye.